This is an update on how my card of the year is going. My card is the Tower, and the last 2 months I've been tearing down towers to conformity and to being nice. So my tower to conformity was in May, and when I talk about conformity, I'm talking about like staying in line, about playing small, about kind of behaving in the way I'm supposed to, and sort of how I cage myself within society's rules. And then my June tower was my tower to being nice. And that really stems from a lifetime of people pleasing. These two towers back to back was such a good fit. They just really fed into each other in a really nice way. I want to give just a little bit of context before I dive into what changed and how these towers challenged me these last couple months. I was raised in a culture and still live in a culture where conformity is really valued, where non-confrontation is a huge value and expectation, where direct speech is quite rare, actually. It's really common to be in this sort of indirect way of speaking to each other. And I know that people who come here, I live in Minnesota, people who come here think we're really passive aggressive, when the truth is our style of speaking is non-confrontational, it is indirect, and it can be hard to understand what a native white Minnesotan is saying. We say things like, oh, that's interesting. And what we mean is, you are totally out of line and pretty weird, and I don't like it. Another thing to know is that through my years of training and teacher training and teaching, I was a middle school and high school teacher for many years, I did learn to be direct. It's a kindness in a classroom to be direct, so everybody knows what the expectations are. And I took that directness to my online life for a long time. I was very bold in what I posted. I was very bold in arguing with people who posted things that I found reprehensible. And in recent years, I would say the last maybe 8 years, I've really stepped away from that. I realized that nobody online, a stranger online, or someone I know even, I left Facebook a long time ago. I'm not really on Instagram anymore. Even people I know, when they're in that public place and they're being called out, nobody's mind is going to change. Nobody's learning in those moments. And especially with strangers, I started to get this sense that like all this online arguing was maybe just a kink, and I didn't want to get involved in that. So I have totally stepped back. I created this sort of, the pendulum swung the other way. Instead of being very bold online, very kind of confrontational and like trying to teach people and change their minds, I swung back the other way to absolutely staying out of it. And I just block people. I'm really not interested in rage bait. I'm not interested in call outs for clicks, videos, and statements. I'm not interested in getting involved with arguments online in general. And these last 2 months have really been challenging me. In the past years, I have taken it so far as to avoid all online content that is confrontational. And I threw out the baby with the bathwater. And I learned that these last couple months, where I had to investigate what it was about me that was expecting conformity out of other people, or expecting other people to stay in line, or expecting other people to be nice. It slid into tone policing, I think. Even though I wasn't commenting and telling people that they shouldn't be saying it in that way, it is still tone policing. I'm letting tone policing run my willingness to learn. And I'm not interested in that. I don't want to be in a place of non-growth. So I went through my journal, and I've got some notes here on the side. You may see me looking over here at my laptop because I pulled out some things that I wanted to talk about. One was a video months ago, I think very early in May, that I was going to skip because I thought it was a call out for clicks kind of situation. And generally, when I see these call outs for clicks, that's just what I call them. I'm sure there's a real name for these types of videos, but it's like a grift to get views, where we're just calling out people and we're not offering any solutions. We're not offering any ways forward. I see this a lot in the spaces I inhabit, I'm quite leftist, and there's a lot of that going on where there's no solution. It's just kind of complaining. And I try to avoid those at all possible. I like to stay in a place of action and change and contribution. I thought I had been served up a call out for click video. And then I stopped to really think, like, am I avoiding that video because I'm expecting some level of conformity? You know, is this my playing small? Is this my sense that people need to keep themselves caged? Is that what's actually happening here? And so I did watch the video, and I'm really glad I did, because I learned about patterns that we see online, especially within white spaces. And it wasn't just call outs for clicks. There was some real education happening there, and solutions and community. Like, the point was for community betterment. And I'm so glad I got over my own sort of ingrained issues to help me grow in that way. I didn't comment. I generally don't comment on those videos. I find that the comment section is full of people just trying to prove how they're not like the person being called out or the group being called out. And there was plenty of that. But, you know, at least at that point early on in these last 2 months, I was at least starting to engage my discernment again. So instead of just, you know, rejecting this content altogether, I was able to engage my discernment. It was helpful for me to listen, and it was helpful for me to rethink how I'm approaching the education that people are offering. In other, like, smaller ways, I let a coworker vent in a large meeting. And this is a coworker who never vents. Very kind, very calm, always. And they needed to vent, and I didn't try to jump in and try to smooth over the social situation. I dressed more boldly. I went and got myself some new glasses and picked sort of, you know, bolder frames. I said bolder things at work about the direction my unit is going. And I have some concern that there will be consequences to me there, but I decided that it was worth it to go ahead and speak up. I tried to be a little weirdo as much as I could, and I tried to kind of push past my fear of it. I have a personal boundary. I banish feelings of guilt and shame about who I am. And I did a lot of work with that boundary these last couple months, because if I'm holding on to guilt and shame, then I am continuing to almost like pre-conform. My assumption there is that I'm going to be seen as so weird and there's going to be consequences, so I better just conform now instead of just, you know, being my authentic weird little self. I started thinking a lot about a video I saw from Shanna Dee asking, who built that tower? What an amazing question for me in my tower year, where each month I've got a new tower to tear down. I really thought deeply about that. Like, who built that tower? And, you know, these are societal towers. I know who built that tower. The people in power who, in my country, in my state, it's white people, Christians, rich people, right? They built this tower that we are all trying to prop up. Do I need to be propping up that tower? I think I can be a little more fearless about pulling that down. I'm now continuing to build that tower, and am I trying to force those towers on other people? That's what I really thought about that a lot, like how I'm contributing to this societal tower that we're propping up that really needs to come down. I really had to face the facts around my conformity and my playing small. I really believe that this is an attempt to control what other people think of me. You know, wanting to be liked, wanting to be seen as a good person, wanting to, not really rock the boat, wanting to fit in. And so if I can just figure out how to conform and how to be nice and how to stay small, then I don't risk there being issues. That's an attempt to control how other people perceive me and what other people think of me. And that is an illusion. That is a child's way of thinking. And I really did have to spend some time these last couple months trying to let go of that control. Even though it's false, I still was playing that game. I engaged in courageous love. I thought a lot about what I love and what I'm devoted to and what I love too much to be nice anymore. What love in my life, what values, what sacred things are more powerful than the way I've been taught to conform? What do I love so much that it will take me out of that programmed place? For me, it's people. It's always people. I have a huge value on community and care and taking care of one another. And if that is my value, then we need honesty, we need courage. There's a beloved late senator in Minnesota named Paul Wellstone. And one of the things he used to always say is, we all do better when we all do better. And to focus on helping everyone do better is a huge value of mine. And if we're going to focus on everyone doing better, I must be courageous. And finally, I have to talk about the lovely Queen of Swords. She has been with me through June, and she helped me look back through May as well. She taught me that I'm going to be the villain in somebody's story. So the important thing is to be the villain in the right people's story. And she had a series of questions for me that I returned to over and over and over. I'm going to show you some cards, some of my favorite queens of swords, and pose these questions to you. I don't have answers for you, but I think the questions have been important enough to truly change the way I'm seeing how I move in the world. And I'd like to share those with you. The Queen of Swords asks you to get out of a stance of certainty and into a stance of curiosity. And here are the questions she had for me, and she has for you as well. Who benefits from my silence? Who is hurt by my silence? Who benefits when I ignore hard lessons that aren't delivered in the way I think they should be delivered? Who benefits when I play small? Who benefits when I carry the emotional load? Who benefits when I carry the daily logistical load? Who benefits from my shame? Who benefits from my non-confrontation? Who benefits from my non-conformity? Who or what do I love too much to be nice about it? Who benefits from my boldness? Who benefits from my effort? Who benefits from my curiosity? Who benefits from my fear? The lessons from May and June about my tower to conformity, my tower to being small, my tower to being nice, all these things, this is going to stick with me for a long time. I think that these have cracked open some really foundational things about how I've been moving in the world lately, or even maybe how I've always moved in the world. And it's really pulling me back towards a center and a set of alignment. And alignment is my theme of the year. And I think these 2 months are really helping me with getting aligned around those things. And they really, I don't know, they just spread into many areas of my life. I'm so grateful for these last 2 months. If you'd like to learn more about how I do card of the year, I will link a video below. I also linked my guide, it's a PDF download. I linked that below. Let me know if you've got any questions about it. I think it's a great system. You don't have to wait until the first of the year to do it. A lot of people started on their birthday or on a solstice. So if you ever feel ready for using your card of the year to make intentional change in your life, I'd love to share what I know about this process I developed, this practice that I've been doing for years. Like this video if you liked it, subscribe for more tarot content, and thanks so much for stopping by.